3ds Max offers a couple of different options when wanting to enter the subobject level on either a 2D shape or a 3D object. It's important that you know what those choices are, as you're going to find that there's both a good and bad side to either option you might choose to use. In our last video, we learned that access to the subobject level could be achieved by applying a modifier. If working on a 2D spline, that modifier would be the Edit Spline. If instead we are working on a 3D object, we could choose to use either the Edit Mesh or Edit Poly modifiers. 3ds Max offers an alternative technique to getting down to the subobject level, and that's by simply right-clicking on your shape or object. Doing so will allow you to choose a command from the menu that will automatically convert that shape or object into an editable state. That state giving you basically the same set of subobject commands that you'd get if you instead applied the appropriate modifier. Now, that right-click conversion is fast and easy, but it does come at a price. I'll show you what that all means using a file named Converting Down. You can find it in the Working Files folder. On the screen, we have two rectangles. Let's select the green one on the left, head to the Modify column, and make a few adjustments. We can change the length, width, and/or the corner radius. The very same adjustments could be done on the one on the right. Okay, let's say that we now want to get down to the subobject components on both shapes, the verts, segments, and spline in other words. We'll do so by means of a modifier, the Edit Spline. Let's go in the modifier list and add that in. Now with the Edit Spline entry in the stack, we can now get down to the subobject level, making whatever subobject changes we might need to make. In addition to that, by having the rectangle entry at the bottom of the modifier stack, we can also still make whatever adjustments we might want or need to make to the original rectangle shape, like maybe adjusting the corner radius. So no problem there. Now, Max does offer a quicker way to gain access to all of the subobject options. You can do that with the shape selected by simply right-clicking, then in the lower right-hand menu choosing Convert to Editable Spline. Opening up the new entry in the stack named Editable Spline, we can again get down to the subobject level. But check it out, the rectangle is no longer in the stack, and in that we no longer have access to the original creation parameters on the rectangle shape. So that means we've basically now locked ourselves out of being able to adjust anything on the rectangle. Converting to an editable spline gave us the subobject commands, but it also eliminated our ability to make any further adjustments on the original rectangle shape. And that's the downside to converting. Fast and easy, but you lose something in the transition. Now, losing those creation controls may not be a big deal. At other times, though, that loss could very well be huge. So make sure you always remember the differences before you decide which way to go, because once that door is closed, it's closed for good. If you ever find yourself in a position where you think there would even be a chance that you might want to return to the shape's original creation settings, just add the modifier instead of right-clicking and converting down. Now, this price to pay issue also applies to when you're working on a 3D object. Let's go ahead and window select both rectangles, then we'll hit delete. Once cleared from the screen, we can then right-click and in the upper right-hand square choose Unhide All. Selecting the torus on the left, we can now return to the Modify column and make whatever changes we might need. I'll adjust the radius 1, the radius 2, and the number of segments. I'll select the green torus and right-click. At the bottom of the menu, I'll choose Convert to Editable Mesh. Now, as a quick side note, be aware that your converting down could have also been by converting to an editable poly instead of an editable mesh. With more experience and understanding of which each one offers, poly versus mesh, you'll be able to make the right decision on which way to go. Now, back in the stack, if we open up the editable poly, we'll see our subobject options. What we don't unfortunately see, though, is the ability of being able to get back to the original torus. Okay, here's the bottom line. You want to always be careful when converting things down. 2D shape, 3D object makes no difference. Converting will get you to the subobject level a little quicker. Heck, it might even lighten the load on Max a little bit as it makes its calculations. But remember, that conversion takes you to the point of no return in being able to get back to the original creation parameters. So if you have any concern of that becoming a problem, play it safe and just slap on the appropriate modifier. You've got little to lose in using the modifier, but sometimes a lot to gain.